It was the inspiration for probably the most famous Taiwanese film ever made, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Hey everybody, I'm Nick. I'm a director living in Taiwan.
Hey everybody, I'm Luke, a cinematographer living in Taiwan, Taipei.
And today we're talking about A Touch of Zen, which is directed by King Hu.
侠女胡金铨导演的作品，1971年。
This movie will maybe if you haven't seen it, but it will seem very familiar to you because it was the inspiration for probably the most famous Taiwanese film ever made, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Li An.
And yeah, Li An has said many times that A Touch of Zen was the inspiration for his film. So his film is kind of a homage to this movie, which is one of the most classic Taiwanese films. It's from the kind of golden age of Taiwanese cinema, the 70s, 60s, 70s. And it is a very interesting film. It's a kung fu movie, and it's all about like fighting and kind of power struggles. And
political problems and the traditional, maybe the Ming Dynasty.
Oh yeah, Ming Dynasty, Ming Dynasty.
Yeah, so it's a story as a Chinese or Taiwanese, you heard a lot about those stories when you was kid.
Yeah.
That people talk to you like, oh, when back then the empire doing what, and the newness doing also a lot of things.
Right. So the plot of the film is that there's a man who lives in a small village, and he's just kind of like he has no ambition. He's like an artist, and it turns out that there's like a mysterious woman living next to him in an old abandoned fort. Yeah. And she's kind of like drawn to her because she's very beautiful and she has like a mysterious kind of energy or something. And then there's also these other strange kind of people from the government kind of going around town and asking lots of weird questions and being suspicious. So he soon comes to realize that the government officials are looking for this woman. Yeah. But he decides that he wants to protect the woman. So he kind of gets on her side, and you find out that she's like the daughter of a government official who was murdered by a eunuch. Yeah, by a eunuch. And I guess eunuchs at that time were
taking
like powerful
control.
People.
Yeah, they're taking a lot of control over the empire because they ruin the whole situation inside the empire city. So they has a secret service called Dongchang, which is you can basically use them to against anyone who doesn't like those units.
Oh, okay. So they were like almost like spies or something like that, and then they would like secret power that you could use to get rid of somebody you don't like or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. So it's all about the power struggle between this woman who's trying to she's just trying to get away and live her life, but these eunuchs for some reason want to get rid of her. So they send these government officials and these like soldiers to go to the town to try and kill her. But what happens is she comes across a Buddhist monk. Yeah. Shaolin monk. Or
well, we don't know which temple the monk's coming from, but we know they are super
like good at kung fu.
Good kung fu monks.
Yeah. So they take her in and protect her and teach her kung fu, and then she becomes a kung fu master. Yeah. And so then all the fighting that happens in the movie as a result of her fighting against these people who are trying to kill her. And I think the really cool thing about this movie is it's made in the 70s. The male character, like the male guy, is kind of a nerdy artist, like kind of
powerless.
Yeah, just super weak, can't really do anything. And the female character is like
strong.
Yeah, super strong, amazing at kung fu. Yeah, and like really idealized, you know. And
this is why this movie in Chinese is called 侠女. It's saying a woman hero. And it's different from the English title is Touch of Zen, right? It's more
Touch of Zen. It's
emphasized for the
Buddhism and the monk.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different, but still it point out those two important elements in this movie.
Yeah, and the kung fu in it is really excellent because it's a lot of the same people that were doing kung fu in Hong Kong at the time. Yeah. Like a lot of the same actors. If you watch, you'll notice that Sammo Hung, what's his Chinese name? Yeah, Hong Jingbao. Sammo Hung is in the movie as like an extra, so it's like when he was like lower level. So it's all the people that taught him and taught Jackie Chan
Yeah.
Like, I think the cool thing about it as a kung fu movie that's unique, whereas when you watch a lot of the Hong Kong kung fu movies, they're like kind of like popcorn movies where they're just fun to watch, and
Yeah.
you just like to watch. The fighting is really good, and the whole movie is just fighting.
Yeah.
But this movie is more of like art movie slash kung fu movie slash like history, kind of like a bigger, more full movie. You know, like there's a lot of really nice shots. It's a lot slower than a normal kung fu movie. So if you want just like a lot of fighting, it's not really what it is.
Yeah.
But the fighting scenes are really good. Like the most famous is the bamboo fighting, which is people flying around, which is what they did in Crouching Tiger, where they're like flying through bamboo and jumping over bamboo and
well, in that particular scene, you can see a more jump cut than the other fighting scenes, and which is kind of 启发怎么讲，就是 kind of have the idea of we can make kung fu fighting with jump cuts.
Right. So it's kind of revolutionary style.
After that, we can see a lot of fighting scene is jump cut putting together. But before that, we can see whole set of movement in the.
For me, I did think the movie was like too long. I think it could have been cut down to be a lot shorter. But you mentioned to me that actually this movie originally was 2 films.
Yeah, it's 2 films come back together.
So it's like a double feature that they put together. And now people watch it as one, but originally like somebody would go see the first film and then go see the second. And I think that actually is a better way to watch this movie.
You
to
mean
watch
separate?
Once, like watch the first part, then watch the second part. Because watching it all in one sitting, you're like, okay, this is a little bit long.
Right.
A little bit slow. Like, I think I clocked it, and I don't think you don't really know what's going on in the movie, like what the plot of the movie is, until like about 40 minutes in, which is a really long time to be sitting and watching. There's the opening 10 minutes of the movie are just like shots of buildings, shots of
just
this. It's like
showing
you could
how
cut
beautiful,
a lot of that. I like it because I like looking at Taiwanese scenery, but I think like for a normal, like in reality, it's not great to just sit and watch mountains for 10 minutes. You're like, okay, I get it. They're in the mountains.
You have to just admire those
beautiful things.
Settings and the art, the decoration. You just, well, you know, the Hu Jinquan is actually from doing art in the film industry.
Ah, that makes sense.
So he put a lot of effort in making those decorations and art. So
I thought the way that they do the forts and the town, the old town, is fantastic. Like when I was watching it, I was thinking, wow, they must have built all this, because there's no like old kind of towns like this in Taiwan.
And it is so beautiful.
I mean, it really looks great.
Yeah.
And it's I mean the scenery and all the places, the locations that they filmed. I think the bamboo fight was filmed in Nantou. I mean, it's all fantastic looking. Like everywhere is just really beautiful and well done. And I think the other thing he's great at is he's really good at moving the camera.
Right.
So even though the movie's slow in the very beginning, he moves the camera a lot with the characters, and kind of it gives this kind of like almost like dancing feel to the movie, where like a character will just kind of be walking through a space and then the camera's moving in the opposite direction or with the character, and it gives you this cool kind of rhythm to the film, which I think a lot of newer movies don't have as much. Like the camera movement is more just to look cool, whereas this camera movement I feel like it's setting a mood.
Cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of newer directors just like be like, okay, what's the camera movement that I can use to make this movie look expensive and look cool?
Yeah, right. And I really like the lightings. You know, back then you have to illuminate a lot of things to able to catch in the film, right?
Yeah.
Because you can see when the guy's taking the lamp at the night, and you can see the lighting is so precise, and then the detail. Well, you can still, obviously it's lighting, right? It's not just only use the lamp to illuminate the character, right? You have to put more light for shooting. But even though you are knowing that, you can still which is.
That scene is quite special. Like,
a lot of good effort of this.
They were trying to make sure that that light is motivated from that lamp.
Yeah, so they match the lamp when the character is moving around.
Yeah, it's
which is
pretty cool.
Okay, wow, okay. They
took a lot of effort.
A lot of effort of lighting.
An interesting thing about this film too is that like if it was made today, I definitely think they would have used a lot more, like they would have tried to make it bigger, Like when the army comes to the town, like the army, I was struck by how small the army actually is. Like they show the army marching to the town.
Yeah.
They're like, oh no, the big army is gonna come and get them, and it's like 20 people, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you made that movie now, they would take those 20 people and they would use CG and like duplicate them.
Right.
And so it would be like there's 10,000 people marching on the town. But if you really think about it, back then, I mean, probably if you had an army of 20 people back in the Ming Dynasty, was probably like, that's a lot of people.
That's already a lot of people.
Yeah.
And also, they are special agents. They are not official army. So
Yeah,
which is
right.
downside.
Fits with the plot, whereas like,
Right.
this is like a secret.
Yeah.
They don't want everybody to know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just think it's interesting because they shoot this giant field, and then they have this small group of people.
Yeah.
But then they do some cool camera tricks too to give you the sense that this is a lot of power, where they'll like put the camera and they'll have one person standing in the foreground,
Right.
and then a bunch of people behind him, so it fills up the whole frame, even though they only have about 20 people. But it gives you this sense of like, this is power.
A lot of
right?
Yeah.
So I think this is what I love about filmmaking, is when you have limitations and then you figure out ways to go around those limitations and make something that's impressive. Like when you just kind of can do whatever and you're like, okay, I'm going to duplicate them and make 500 people. It's not as interesting, right?
No, it's no challenge at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Just use a computer, duplicate them, make 500 people, and then we're done. And then but then you're just using a simple shot. You're not thinking about
how to
an interesting way to frame the movie, an interesting way to move the camera.
Yeah.
So fantastic film. I definitely think if you like Kung Fu, you should check it out. If you like Crouching Tiger especially, you should definitely check this out.
Yeah. And also I wanna point out one thing, in my opinion, for this movie is it always reminds me for the Western movie, like in the United States, the Fifth of Sand or Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh, so it's like a Western a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I don't know why. It just keep reminds me. It looks so much like the Western movie.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I mean, that's the interesting about these Kung Fu films, and then you have the Westerns in Italy, but then you also have, those are all taken from Akira Kurosawa, right? Like all the samurai movies.
Yeah.
So they all kind of have a similar feeling. I think at this time, like 60s, 70s, going into the 70s, like this was the popular style way of making a movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, a lot of it is built on the Seven Samurai.
Okay.
So, which we could do. It's a Japanese movie, but we could talk about
I
it.
love Seven Samurai. This is my favorite movie.
Seven Samurais.
Damn it. Okay.
Yeah, one of the best movies ever made.
So.
All right. So if you have any requests you'd like to see us talk about, a movie, Taiwan movie, Chinese movie, Hong Kong movie, any movie in Asia, all are fine. Let us know which one you'd like to see us discuss. And thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah. See you next time. Bye-bye.